Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy For Now. It's me, Isabel here. And as you're watching this, I'm getting ready to go to Steamy Lit Con in California, and I want to talk about book events and book signings and the things I've learned. I have attended many book events, from small ones in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This little festival is called Bookmarks that I adore, to larger ones like a Polycon and Book Bonanza, as well as now Steamy Lit. So I've been to quite a few of these, and I feel like I've picked up some good tips for these events, and I want to talk to you about what I'm bringing with me to Steamy Lit Con as well, because I think that's also kind of interesting to hear. So let's dive into my baseline best practices. The first thing I'm going to tell you to bring with you is post-it notes. You can do this before you leave, or you can do it once you get to the event, depending on your time. I usually do it once I'm at the event. I tend to try to arrive at least a day, if not 2 days early, to events when I can. Because I like to be able to do the first round of registration when possible. I also really just like having some downtime to settle into my room and get set up. But I bring my books. For example, you can take a post-it note and put your name on it, slap it on this page, and have it stick out a little up top or wherever with your name. So when you go to get your book signed and personalized, it's already there. Oftentimes you're doing this in line while you wait to meet an author, especially if they're popular. And I have found this to be extremely beneficial personally to my travels. So I like to make sure I do this before I even get to the signing rooms. I just think, again, it speeds it all up. So when I'm in line, it's already done. I don't have to stand in line and try and awkwardly write my name, all the things. So it's also just an activity to do while you sit in your room one evening. The other tip I have is not all events will allow a rolling cart. I'll show you mine. I'm not going to pick it up right now. It's full of books. But I'll show you mine in a moment. I'll throw in a clip of it. If they do, I highly recommend bringing the rolling cart. It has a game changer for toting books around, especially the one I have with the lid on it. So I'm able to set a tote bag on top. I can sit on it if I need to. It just gives me room. But if they don't allow a rolling cart, one of the best practices I've gotten into post Polycons now and other big events, 2 tote bags. One tote bag holds your signed books. So this is also a tote bag I get signed by favorite authors. And I'm actually not taking it to Steamy Lit because I have another tote bag I'm getting there that I pre-ordered for the event. Well, my mom got us for the event, that we're getting signed at the event by all the authors. But I have a tote bag like this. This is a tote bag from Hello Lovely that I got at a Polycon last year. And what I do is I specifically put books in one tote bag that need to be signed or of the authors I'm seeing soon. The other tote bag I might have shoved in here. I will pull it out as I get books signed and put them in the other tote bag. This allows me to quickly not be a mess trying to find the books for the next author. It also just kind of lets me readjust weight as well if I got a lot of pre-orders. It just lets me kind of even things out. And I also gotta say, if you are not taking another item to get signed, I cannot recommend it enough. So you can do things, like I said, like a tote bag. I made this one forever ago when I first had my channel, and it's been really fun getting signed and putting different patches on it. But this one's also got a mess of a back patch that I pulled off because it was from a certain creator that turned out to be a TERF. Creator as in writer. But also a lot of events like a Polycon, Bookbo will attend and offer a thing like this. I think they're releasing one that's just a basic one for signings too, possibly, or they have. This is great. So this one is literally a library cart, and I just had as many authors sign it as I could, and I really liked doing that. It was a fun way to go talk to authors I haven't read before, get some free things from them like bookmarks and anything like that, and then be able to shove those inside book sleeve, because here are a bunch from a Polycon, so that I have them for reference later. And it's a fun way to just have a conversation with a new author and get a feel for who they are and what they write. Now, I used to travel with book bows more to transport my books, but I actually stopped doing that because instead I just wrap them in the tote bags I bring to fly home / also, honestly, my biggest tip is if you can, pre-order from authors to bring home so you can just ship those books home, or Steamy Lit for me, unfortunately, I'm bringing a ton of books because I have a ton of authors attending that I've already purchased that are favorites. So that also can be hard, but when possible, pre-order your books. It is so much easier. If the author's really busy, they usually have an assistant or someone who can just go grab your pre-order. So you might not get to talk to them extensively, but it can speed up the process of like getting your pre-order. So that's really nice. So May made us for a Polycon these book boxes, which are really cool too. Like I made my lanyard in here, and I had a bunch of authors sign this. So this is another option. Like you could get a wood box and paint it and decorate it, or you could get a cardboard one. Like just get creative with what you get signed. You know, a lot of people take around canvases and stuff like that. Like there's some really good options of things to get signed that aren't just physical books if you're not a huge physical book person. All right. Let's also quickly touch on author interactions. Listen, I'm an awkward person. I get really excited to meet authors and then I end up being real weird about it. So it's okay. It's going to be okay. They're not going to remember you, first of all, most likely, unless you do something real weird or racist to them. But generally speaking, everyone's there and excited to talk to their favorite authors. So just in general, I would just, you know, say the things you want to say to the author and move on if you can, semi-quickly to keep the lines moving and not hold everybody up. But also, y'all, let's remember etiquette when we're at these events, because you don't know who's around you. It's really not a good idea to talk about how you didn't like an author or didn't like their book or any of that. Like save those conversations for your room with the people you're attending with. Save those conversations for after the event. I just don't recommend like in the event vocally like dissing on an author you don't like or anything like that, because you just don't know who's around you. So let's like avoid hurt feelings as much as possible at these events, because like authors are giving up their personal time to come here and meet a bunch of fans of theirs. So one thing I do advise is if you can, and if it's available, print out the seating chart right before you leave and highlight the authors you were bringing books for or pre-ordered from. Like mark that chart up so you know where they're seated and you can figure it out. Also, generally, if you have a lot of books, like more than what will fit in that cart or a tote bag for you to carry, try and break it up. Like, so some signings you're in like one room for a while and then you're in another room. Some you can go back and forth. So like you need to know that ahead. And then once you're at the event, sort your books accordingly. So like make sure you have a stack that is like, these are all the books that I can get signed during signing session A, and these are the ones that I can get during B. And like if one day you have 2 room access or whatever, like know that you can go back to your room in between and switch things out. So that is huge advice, in my opinion, to take. I highly recommend it. I also, if you are going to an event like a Polycon and you get the highest pass and you get 2 signing days, the more authors you can get your book signed from on day 1, the better. Because day 2 is always going to be the busier day. That's usually a weekend. That's usually when more people are able to attend. So just be ready to like chaos and like just get as much in day 1 as you possibly can. My goal usually is to get most of my books that I bring signed on day 1 and pick up all of my pre-orders, and then spend day 2 of the signing like walking around the convention, getting any ticketed authors I need to meet, and also just like talking to random authors, because you will see authors whose tables aren't busy, which means you can have a fun conversation and learn more about their books. I think that's it. Those are like my biggest tips. I love book events. I think they're really fun. I know they're not for everyone, and I think if you're looking to start attending them, look for small, close by ones. Personally, I think that's the best option. I started with the Polycon, and then I started going to bookmarks in North Carolina. That's the one in Winston-Salem, and that is like holds a special place in my heart. It is an absolutely amazing little bookstore. It is a nonprofit. The festival is so fun. They bring in a variety of authors, and they also do a really good job organizing it. It's basically one day. I don't know if it's worth like traveling in for necessarily, unless you're within a couple hours. So I would go when we lived outside Charlotte. And I think if we lived like in Raleigh or so, you know what I'm saying? Like Asheville, I would travel in for it, but I don't know if like from Tennessee, I would travel to it. Perhaps I would if it was like an all-time favorite. But yeah, those are my biggest book tips. Oh, and be kind to everybody. Like if you're aware, you might not be. Steamy Lit, a lot of people made friendship bracelets. I personally am bringing these stickers. I'll show them to you right here. I did not bring them upstairs. So I'm going to hand out stickers to people in lines and as I meet people and talk to them. These are just like tiny little 1-inch circles that I made. I spent like $100 on them. Like, I didn't go wild, but I think it's a fun way to have a conversation with people and also just have a little something to give them as you leave the conversation to remember you by. But yeah, it's a really fun little extra bit people are doing and I love it. So you can kind of see if people are doing that for the event you're attending. Obviously, like, if you don't think people are doing it, don't do it. They might be weird. You might want a business card or a bookmark if you're a creator to hand out to people so they can find you later. But otherwise, I think it's like really just about going, having fun, and don't be scared to go alone. Because at the end of the day, everyone attending this event is there because they love books. And if you're going to a romance event, because they love romance books. So even if you don't know somebody attending, you're going to make friends in line and people are pretty friendly. I know I always am talking to people at these events. I'm not necessarily the most extroverted person in real life, but when I go to book events, I am like a social butterfly. And it's really funny, I think, because that's definitely not my general like energy in life. So yeah. All right, let's talk about the books I'm taking to Steamy Lit because I got a stack, y'all. Obviously, there will be a post Steamy Lit book haul probably because we're not gonna talk about how many I pre-ordered. Anyways, first up we do have That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming, as well as That Time I Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. These I did order on purpose before they got pulled since we didn't know what the new covers were, and I'm okay with it because the new covers, stunning. So I can't wait to also probably order those from Story on the Square to get signed ones. Next I have Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. That has been one that I've been dying to get signed by her. And then I also have Real by Kennedy Ryan. And then we have The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I don't think I have any of her Geekerella books, her YAs, on hand, so I'm not going to bring any of those with me. Next we have Skeletons of Society by Marie Maravilla. I've not read this one yet, but I loved book 2, which I did read, which is Syndicate of Sins. So I wanted to make sure I just picked up book 1 because I think I'm going to love it. I might read it while I'm at Steamy Lit. I also have Rafe by Rebecca Weatherspoon to get signed. Okay, then I have The Temporary Wife Temptation by J.C. Lee. I loved that book. I would love to get that Harlequin signed. I don't know if I'm weird for bringing a Harlequin, but whatever, I am. Anita Kelly's Love and Other Disasters. Oh, Zenny, that should have been with Rafe and it wasn't, so I'm going to put those two together now. I try to pack authors together. So I have 2 copies of this book. I have my ARC copy of Forget Me Not, which I would like to get signed, and then I also have my finished copy that I would also like to get signed. One of my favorites of the year, so I just figure why not get both signed. Next, I have the Sierra Simone Priest trilogy. So I have Priest, I have Sinner, and I have Saint as well. I have 2 sets of this, so one set I'm going to get signed and give it away for my members. Another set, I can't decide if I'm taking or not. So I'm probably going to pack here and see if I have room for more books or not. Because I don't want to bring them if I don't have room because I have the original covers all signed. Okay, then I have Delilah Green Doesn't Date, which I'm taking because I have Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, signed but not personalized from Parnassus. So I want to get the first book signed and personalized. And then we have the 2 unsigned Allie Hazelwood. So I have Love on the Brain, which came out right after a Polycon last year when I went. So I didn't get the chance to get that signed. Then I also have Love Theoretically to get signed by her. Next, I have 2 more books that I want to get signed, which is by Nana Malone. I have The Spy in 3B and The Assassin in 5F. I haven't read either of these, but because she's attending, I'm going to go ahead and get them signed. And hopefully I love them. Most of these books I have read. And then like the most mandatory signing that I have to have is Olivia Dade. So I have 4 Olivia Dade books total that I own. I would like to own more if they have more at the event. There's a big likelihood that I will be purchasing. So I have All the Fields by Olivia Dade. I have 40 Love by Olivia Dade. I also have Spoiler Alert. And we have Shipwrecked by Olivia Dade. This is the bonus cover, which I'm going to take off because I don't plan to travel with this cover on because I would hate to damage it, to be honest. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now before I forget. But this is amazing, by the way. She did like this photo shoot. Stunning. Love it. But Shipwrecked as well. So those are all the books right now that I'm taking. I am coming home with a lot more books than I'm taking. And that's okay because that's the point of book events. Luckily, there is a FedEx Center in this hotel. So it should be pretty easy for me to ship my stuff home. All right, so I would love to know if you have any tips you'd like to share about attending bookish events. If not, let me know if you've attended one, if you would, if you have any interest, etc. down below in the comments. I will ask for an airplane emoji again. I did one recently, I know. But you can drop me an airplane emoji down there, as well as just let me know the answer to those questions. I will have links to Steamy Lit stuff down there for you and the couple events I mentioned. But yeah, I will be back in just a few days in my next video. Bye, y'all.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know.